Happy Monday. If you're watching on a replay, let me know in the comments, hashtag replay. I got all these cords in the way today. I don't know what's going on. I know I've said this before, you guys, but I swear if you saw what was happening like behind the scenes and on the floor and around me, it's so many wires and connections and stuff. All right, let's see. Get things going. Here. There we go. think I think I'm good. Hopefully, I had to reset the router here at the shop because I was having problems with the internet earlier when I first got here, but I'm hoping that all got taken care of because things seem to look pretty smooth. So we'll go with that. As you're coming on, tell me hi, tell me what you're working on. I know this is kind of my mom texted earlier and asked me if I was going to do a live tonight, but I didn't think about the fact that maybe there wasn't actually an event created, but I did do it. I just created it like an hour or so ago instead of when I create the rest of them. Hi, Sherry. I hope everybody had a great Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is you celebrate, great holiday, that you were able to spend some time with friends and family. Oh, crazy. The blowers in the shop just went like way down to low and it's so lovely. I wish they were always like that. Sometimes I feel like I'm yelling in here all the time because the blowers are so loud. Hi, Charlene. Hi, Nicole. Thank you. Hi, Mama. Mommy should have reminded me that there wasn't actually an event created for the for the live tonight, but here we are. We made it. Hi, Ruth. Knitting number 4 set of cloudburst mitts. That's awesome. I can't wait to post those this Friday. They're so, so cute. Okay, this might be, hi Joyce. This might be kind of a short one tonight. I'm not sure. I've got a couple things to talk about, but I was just telling Melissa, I feel like I'm the only person in this whole building and it's kind of eerie sometimes to be here when nobody else is around. I mean, I'm locked in the space and everything, but still, the wind is whipping and things weren't too bad here. My street was like the worst of any of the roads that I traveled today. Um, Backed out of my driveway and then I couldn't accelerate forward. Hi, Cindy. 2 more. Yeah. I think you should just make a whole I don't know, like a big old stack of them worth. They're they're so sweet. Okay, so knitting a second fading lines cowl. Oh, awesome. It's a great, it's probably a really good one to take to the doctor or something like that, where it's just, you just don't have to think too much about what you're doing. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Linda. Everybody's joining us now. Good. So welcome to Monday Motivation. Today is December 29th. This is our last Monday Motivation of 2025. My name is Kristen. I'm the owner of the Little Yarn Shop located in Saginaw, Michigan, inside the SVRC Marketplace. We are here under normal circumstances, Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The rest of the market is Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Holly finished the pass. Don't even know how to pronounce that. Holly, a cowl and working on, and another 1898 hat. Awesome. Working on magical thinking. Excellent. It's almost the new year. Did you all gift handmade things for the holidays? I'm curious to know what you made and how well it was received. I'm sure they were all very well received. If not, then you can check those people off your knitworthy list. Hi, Jean. So one of the things I mentioned a while ago, hi, Oriana. I was just thinking of you. One of the things I mentioned, I don't know, a month or so ago, and I have not shown it yet, and I think I can show it now, and I won't unless unless she is okay with it, I won't disclose who made this beauty for me. But I mentioned a few months ago that a lovely customer made a doll for me And I wanted to actually show her off because now our hair is very similar. Earlier, I was so blonde early this summer, but now we're a little bit closer. But I needed to show her off just because she's the sweetest thing. I have named her Francine. She's got long hair, and this doll was made for me. Little owl hat. Look at the cute little outfit, her jacket. She has corduroy pants on, little hood, and she has the sweetest little matching little owl stuffy. Just she sits right at my place at the table in here. So if you've been in the shop, you've seen her, but I have not shown her on camera. And I love her so much. I feel like if I was a little kid, I would take her everywhere with me. But she could not come to my house because my animals would I don't know, this morning my dogs decided to chew on the couch. So precious things need to stay far away from my critters. But she's so lovely. So this is um my little friend that's here at the shop all the time. So I had a very lovely customer send her to me a few months ago, and it makes me smile. She makes me smile every time I see her. Favorite thing to stare at besides the yarn. Yeah, she is. She's so cute, and her hair's so soft. I just kind of sit and pet her hair all the time. So I just had to, I just had to show her off. And as creators, we all understand the headache that comes behind when somebody makes something like this and people come in the shop and go, "Oh, you should sell those. She should make those and she should sell those." That's not the point. The point is we make these things out of love and not because we want to make it a career or anything like that. So I appreciate that she took the time and the energy and the effort to make her for me because I think she's so adorable. Yes, very talented. Okay, so I just had to show her off real quick. Hours for this week. I did say what our normal hours are, but this week we are open Wednesday from 10 to 3. The marketplace is closing at 3 for New Year's Eve. Hey, babe. And New Year's Day we are closed. And then Friday and Saturday, business hours as usual. So 10 to 7, Friday and Saturday. Next week we will be back to normal. Next week you can start using your, well, actually, this Friday and Saturday, you can start using your fiber funds. If you got fiber funds for with the promotion that we did earlier this month, the end of last month into the beginning of this month. So reminder, those are only good for January. But they're perfect to buy yourself those things that somebody didn't get you or that you've had an eye on. So come in and use them. Treat yourself to something special. Okay, so what am I working on? I am working on my ranunculus. I had it started last week. I have the body of it done. I'm just trying to figure out the front versus the back. Here we are. So here she is. There's the body. Yes, it is pooling. And I accept it. I accept it for what it is. So this is oftentimes what happens if you don't alternate skeins of hand-dyed yarn, where in the skein, there are large sections of color. When you look at it in the twisted hank and you see that there are large chunks of color, if you don't alternate skeins, this is what happens. So if you're okay with that, then just knit away. If that bothers you, then alternate 2 or 3 skeins. But I love how it looks. I love the fact that it's the gray and the brown, so it's a neutral, but it's got quite a bit of character to it. This is worsted weight. The ranunculus can be done with many different weights and many different styles. I just kind of knit up a couple skeins, tried it on, and it calls for like 3.5 inches of ribbing at the bottom. I did too, and I feel like that's plenty because it's 1 by 1 twisted rib, and that's a lot. I have to pay attention to that when I'm doing it. I did pick up for my first sleeve. I am alternating a few rows just to blend from the end of one skein to the beginning of the next. So when I was how do I want to say this? When I was working on the body of it, I had probably a quarter of a skein left from what I was doing up here. And I saved that so I could split it between the two sleeves. So I could use some of the same color that I was using here when I added on my sleeve before I blended in the next color. So I had like this much for each sleeve to knit down before I started the new skein. So it wasn't such a harsh line. I'm just kind of doing one row with one color, one row with the other. And there are a couple different videos that I'm going to ask Melissa to post links in the comments. One is this bind off. So I have done, as I showed last week, I've already knit 3 of these ranunculus sweaters. And since I did those a couple years ago, she has changed the pattern format. Originally, it was like a one size fits most, and then she had a separate PDF for if you needed a larger bust size, or you wanted it longer, or different weights of yarn, or other modifications. Now it's all condensed into one pattern. And she also uses some different techniques. So she has 2 different necklines, short rows in the front and the back. And a bind off technique that I had never used before. So I used the bind off she suggested on the bottom. And as you can see, it's super stretchy, but it doesn't flare. So sometimes I've heard people complain that the Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off where you do a yarn over before you knit or purl the next stitch. Sometimes it can flare a little bit, especially people complain about that with socks and stuff. So this is called Lori's Twisty Bind Off. And she does recommend in the video that you use like a separate needle than what's on the work. And it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's fussy, but it's definitely a different technique because you're taking the tip of your needle and swiveling it all the way around to put a twist in the stitch that's on your right needle before you knit or purl the next stitch. So that was a technique I hadn't done before, Lori's Twisty Bind Off, and it kind of has a really cool look. And with this being 1 by 1 twisted rib, I did the bind off in pattern, and it kind of it looks pretty seamless. And I think I really am happy with it. So I get pleasantly surprised when I'm knitting on a pattern and I look at it and I think, well, I've done this pattern before, or it doesn't seem like there's anything new or different that's going to happen in the pattern, but this had this bind off, which I hadn't done before, which I thought was kind of cool. So I wanted to share that with you all. And then last week, Karen and the girls were in the shop talking about alternating skeins of yarn. Karen was working on this for me. I mentioned last week that she was working on a flax sweater for me. She finished it. I'm wearing it. She's amazing. We all know this. She got this done before I got mine done, and I'm on size 10 needles, and I think she was on like 7s. But that woman can knit, I tell you what. But so this technique for alternating skeins in between 2 or 3 skeins, you could do it. And it's called the yarn forward technique to alternate skeins of yarn. And the best way to demonstrate would be, where was I? Let me find my ends and then I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So even if you alternate every other row, you often end up with this line on the inside of your knitting where you're dropping one color and picking up the other color. This new technique or different technique called the yarn forward method has no, I don't have a stitch marker in the beginning of my row, but I don't really have to because I'm bringing the yarn forward each time. But right here is the beginning of my row, and you can't tell there's not that ridge where you're dropping one and picking up the other because you're simply bringing the yarn to the front of the work before you take your other skein to the back and knit with it or purl with it, I guess, if then it would stay in the front. But it's invisible. It's practically invisible. I can't see it. I was really looking and I thought, well, is it going to leave a hole? Is it going to, do something a little bit different? But you can't tell. You can't tell on the front either. I've been alternating this whole way here and you can't tell at all. So that's kind of a fun thing that I haven't done before either. I'm not a big fan of alternating two skeins when I'm knitting the sleeve of sweaters, just because it's kind of fussy, but it's totally worth it, especially for me just to blend. I'm only doing it for a couple more rows and then I will be on to just my one skein. And if it pools, it pools. That's okay. So that's what I'm working on, the ranunculus. Um, Body's done. Sleeves won't take very long. I picked this sleeve up when I got here this afternoon, right before I got on with Melissa. And I've got, I don't know, a couple inches done already. So that will go pretty quickly, which I'm pleasantly, I'm pleased with, I guess I should say. Now we can talk about what I'm wearing. What I'm wearing is the flax sweater. So this one also has lots of variations. It is a great basic top-down raglan sweater. It's part of the Tin Can Knits Simple collection. Oh, Ruth, that's a good question. The yarn that I'm using for the ranunculus is Madeline Tosh, and it's their Farm Twist base. Sorry, it's backwards if you're watching on Facebook, but it's Farm Twist and it's 100% superwash wool, but it's just a 2-ply. So it's really lofty for a worsted weight superwash wool. The color is called Birkenstick, and it was one that we had gotten in. They actually call it a DK, but I would not call it a DK weight yarn. It seems pretty substantial to me. It's got 225 yards in 100 grams, but it's a really cool color because it's the gray and the brown and it's got these black specks in there. It's a really fun color. So it's Madeline Tosh Farm Twist DK / worsted. Okay, so where was I? Oh, the flax sweater. Raglan increases it's part of the Tin Can Knits Simple collection. So they have a series of free patterns on Ravelry, and it's kind of like your first cardigan, your first top-down sweater, your first mitten, your first sock, your first hat. A lot of tutorials in the pattern, and then links to tutorials as well, I believe. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but we've done a couple flex sweaters around here. Now they've added short rows in an effort to just try and get this done before the end of the year. Karen didn't do the short rows, but she did alternate skeins. One of the reasons for her alternating skeins on this was because I had two skeins that were really a deeper teal and then two skeins that were more of a bright teal. And so the way she alternated it, you can't really tell. And it just, I really love how this turned out. So I wanted to use this yarn for a basic sweater like this. So kind of elbow length sleeves. There you can see the raglan increases. What's nice about the way Tin Can Knits does the increases in the flax sweater specifically is it's just knit front backs. So you don't have to do the make one right, make one left, anything like that. It's just a knit front back. But this yarn is dyed similarly to these guys. So a lot of times we talk about these as assigned pooling. Like we've done like the color burst cowl or the bright side shawl, where you take these yarns that have this little blip of a contrast color and you do something different with it. I've done the Lano sweater that was a side to side sweater with our custom yarn, but like in the bright side shawl, for instance, when you get to that contrast color, you purl it instead of knitting it. This one has some extra wraps and drop stitches. But one of our customers, Sue, had gotten this color and done a very simple top-down sweater, and I loved how it turned out. So I wanted to show that you could pull a yarn like this and not do anything different when you get to that little, because normally you would get to this little strip of where that other color is and you would do a different stitch with it or whatever. None of that is happening with this. It's just knit. It's all in stock net and it has still a lot of character to it, which I love. We are big fans around here of projects that look a lot more complicated than they are. And I think this is a great example of that. So I wanted to have a sweater knit in this style. So the other thing, I'm looking at the sleeves now. The other thing that's different is the flax sweaters all have a panel down the side of garter stitch, and I wanted to omit that. So here you can kind of see, this would be a good place to show where one skein had the dark teal, one skein had the bright teal, but because Karen alternated skeins every row, it kind of looks like it all just blends really well together. So, I like that it looks like when you did a drawing or something and then you rub your finger on it and just smudge the edges a little bit, or back in the day when we did that with our eyeliner, kind of has that smudgy edge look, and it's really great. So Melissa posted a few different versions of the flax. They do have a fingering weight. It's called flax sock. They have a DK weight, and then they have their worsted, which was their original. Brenda, mom, thank you. I love it too. PM, making it and using a solid and holding, make it tweed. Ooh, that's a good idea too. There's just something great about a top-down basic raglan, and they do a great job with this sweater. So I wanted to show you kind of ideas, like you could do the flax sock with this and it would be a fun, bright sweater. The other thing I really like about the simple collection of patterns from Tin Can Knits is every single one of them goes from like a newborn size to a men's, I don't even know what, but the range of sizes is wide, which is great. So even if if you weren't sure about doing a sweater or a hat or something like that, you could start with a newborn size or a small size and still get the same concepts, the same methods, and just have it smaller and a quicker project to then build those confidence and those skills, build your confidence and those skills to be able to then do one in an adult size if you wanted to. But the Flex DK I thought would be fun for a little guy in, we've got one skein of this color from Wonderland Yarns called Your Favorite Shirt Fresh from the Wash. And it's kind of this taupey color with this navy in it. And it's got 344 yards, which I think would be enough to do like a newborn little guy's sweater in something like that. And I think it would be really fun. But I wanted to just show that you can do more with the color burst yarns or the assigned pooling yarns, and you'll know when you look at them. Sometimes it's hard to tell in the hank when they're like this, but always ask if you're at a store before you do this, but most stores will let you or they will do it for you. If you can open up the hank, and like this one, most of it is this lavender lilac color, and then you've got this one little blip of an alternate color. That's what you're looking for, that you'll get this effect. So I wanted to show that you could do more than Tin Can Knits also has a free app with those patterns included. Yes, yes, they do. I've been playing around with, well, I had been testing their new app, but I don't think they've released it all the way yet. But all the patterns from them are very well written, very well researched and tested. So this one also, we've got I just found 2 bags of this behind the counter. And it's called An Inkling of Something Brilliant. And I think it looks like birthday cake confetti, and it's sport weight. That is the color that I used in this cowl. But how fun would that be, as you could use the DK weight version of the flax sweater? It would just be bright and happy and cheery, and I think it would be a lot of fun. Makes me want to knit one. I was going to say knit more of them, but I didn't knit this one. Makes me want more of them. How about that? So we've got yarns like that in store, but also think about it and keep that in mind in terms of if you're going through your stash and you found a couple skeins and you decided, I would rather not do an accessory. I want to do something different with it. Something like this is a great option. Um, different weights. We did get January club colors for Dream in Color and Madeline Tosh, but I think I'm going to hold off until next week to talk about those. I could say next year, wait until next year too, into 2026. That is all the knitting things I had to talk about, but I did want to talk about a couple local businesses that I've been supporting and have chatted about a little bit on my personal page. But one is Excited Goat Coffee Company. They have two locations in Bay City, one on the east side and one on the west side. Their east side location is out in Essexville off Center Road. They are not very far from Jack's Market, the one that just had the fire out there. And they did post about how devastated they were and were trying to do something with the employees there if they could. But then they have one on the west side, just on Euclid, almost across from the Kroger on Euclid. And my kiddo and I stopped in there the other day. And one of their holiday drinks was called Raspberry Cobbler. And it's chai, so it's not even a coffee base, but it's chai, and it had raspberry and cake batter um syrups in it and then cinnamon on top. Oh my gosh, you guys. It was so good. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about raspberry and chai because chai is spiced and I wasn't sure how that would go together, but it might be my new favorite. A few of us met in Bay City yesterday and I stopped in there and got one, even though knew I wasn't going to drink it right away. I took it home so I could have it today. It's delicious. Yeah, and they're great. I love their graphics. They seem to be really great people too. So Excited Goat Coffee Shop. And my friend John Bellsmith is the one that did the graphics for them. He's also the graphic designer that helped me create my logo and does all of our logoed, our business cards, gift cards, all of that stuff too. So small businesses supporting small businesses. We love that. The other small business I wanted to mention is Middle Mist Nails. So Abby is the owner of Middle Mist Nails. She's the one that does my nails and she's on State Street in Saginaw. And I have to show off my New Year's, the holiday nails. My appointment was 2 days before Christmas, so I wasn't gonna have Christmas nails done. I had Christmas nails last time, but she does such a great job. She's usually pretty easy to get into. Holly, I know you've gone there before. And Leslie, I think you went there too. I'm not sure. But my girl Abby is super sweet. She's actually really good friends with the granddaughter of one of our good customers. And she has a couple rescue pet babies that are sweet too. So I wanted to mention that if you are looking for a nail person for regular nails or some special occasion, she's a good one to go to. Um, what other reminders do I have? I still have a few of the kits that were in collaboration with Just Be Fibers and Sassy Bird Designs bags. I've got a couple of the gingerbread kits. We're out of the snowmen, and we've got a couple of the mandala kits left. So if those were something you were thinking about, I do want to kind of put a caveat on that. The fiber funds cannot be used toward the purchase of those because they are a consignment thing, but we've got them here. until, I don't know, for a little bit longer anyways. Not sure how much longer. And that might be all I have to talk about tonight, you guys. I said it might be a little bit short. Sometimes I say that and then I ramble on for another 45 minutes, but this one's going to be pretty short. I'm going to get home and out of the wind and snuggled up at my house where it's warm and cozy, and my kiddo and my dogs and my cats, and chaos happened. I had a friend ask earlier today if I could do the live from my house. I mean, technically, yes, it would be probably entertaining for you all, and frustrating for me, but maybe we'll do that sometime. You can get a little intro with to all the critters at my house, a little behind the scenes. But I hope everybody has a safe and happy new year. Again, we are here Wednesday from 10 to 3. The marketplace closes at 3. If you're going to come in and hang out with us, keep in mind that I'm guessing not too many of the food vendors are going to be open this week. So just take that for what you will, I guess. Don't come in starving and hoping that there will be somebody here. Sis and Bros Tacos has been pretty consistent with being here, but I'm not really sure who else is going to be here. But then we're closed Thursday, back Friday and Saturday. So if we don't see you here in the next week, have a great new year, and I hope you get some downtime, some time to celebrate, be safe, stay warm, and we will see you all back here next year, next Monday. All right.